Good day, everyone. We're here at the Postgraduate Institute of Management, where the AMDISA 2016 Executive Council and Regional Conference is currently underway. It is hosted by the Postgraduate Institute of Management, University of Sri Jawadinapura, and the Institute of Certified Professional Managers. Here with us now is Dr. Hasan Sohaib Murad, Rector, University of Management and Technology in Lahore, Pakistan. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
So you were the session chairman for the second session, which was entitled Strategic Actions and Networking, Key Initiatives. Could you tell us a little bit about what was discussed?
This was a very interesting session. There were 4 speakers. Dr. Padam, who is a very senior management expert from India. He elaborated upon the idea of SAQUS, which is South Asian Quality System, a system which has been developed by AMDISA to help business schools improve themselves and achieve standards. It is an indigenous system. It has gone through developmental process, and it has evolved over the period of last 5 years. It has its own structure and process. Dr. Padam gave us the background of SAQUS, the history of SAQUS, its structure and processes. Then came Dr. Elawadi from Institute of Technology Management, Hyderabad, India, and he highlighted the requirements of quality system. Quality is something which is intrinsic as well as extrinsic, and it necessitates coordination of all aspects of productivity in terms of business organizations and education in the university. So he gave us an X-ray of the details that are very important to be kept in mind by the deans of higher education. The third speaker was Director General of Sri Lanka Institute of Development, and his idea was that we should keep in our mind the overall imperative of organizational development and organizational improvement, and these systems are meant to help us grow the organization, transform the organizations. So he made a very passionate appeal. If I recall, his name was Dr. Thrisilakari, and so his presentation was very good. And the last presentation was made by the Dean of IBA from University of Dhaka, Professor Saiful Majid, and he also highlighted a few aspects of quality, which means that we need to have more interaction, and we need to have better collaboration so that we can together achieve better quality. So this was focused upon quality and its various aspects.
Okay, all right. Could you tell us a little bit about the university that you are part of, University of Management and Technology in Lahore?
UMT is in Lahore, which is the historical city of Pakistan. A city having a very live culture, known for its throbbing people and its food and gardens. We are based in Lahore. We have a sub-campus then in another city which is near about Lahore, Sialkot, which is very enterprising and famous for football, surgical items, cutlery, leather items, things like that. This university currently has 9,000 students and 10 schools. It is not just limited to IT or business, but also has a very comprehensive range of programs in social sciences, in law, and in other degrees. University has a history of about 10 years, 12 years now as a chartered university. Previously it was affiliated. In all, it is about now 20 years old institution. We have achieved SACWAS about 4 years back. So we are SACWAS accredited institution, one of the 3 SACWAS accredited institution in Lahore. We have 450 full-time teaching staff, out of which about 120 hold doctoral degrees. So we have a good faculty, good programs, and it's a great place to learn. Our mission is to lead, and our vision is to learn. So we are very active and very competitive institution.
So would you recommend that universities here in Sri Lanka take on that SACWAS accreditation?
I think so. You know, we have had very good experience, and we think that we have learned through this process. You know, there are many things that we think, okay, we will do at some point, and we keep delaying them. And SACWAS became an external factor which forced everyone to do whatever was not done by that time. So all faculty members and administrative staff, the leadership, governance, everyone then were brought to one page, and we took that document as something that we have to achieve. So it helped us achieve. Not that we were not geared to it before, or we were not cognizant of its importance, but then SACWAS gave us the milestone, and it forced upon us a time schedule that do this by now, do this by now, do this by now. So I think it's a very useful forum. It's a very useful instrument, and then once you achieve SACWAS, then you can go to even refer to European or an American accreditation system. So it's a gateway to go to European and American. So it is the first step. Take this step first, and once you are SACWAS, then you can prepare yourself for European, which we are doing now. After having done SACWAS, we immediately shifted our attention to European and then American. So it helped us, and also it helped us gain more credibility in the eyes of European accrediting bodies, which do not accept, even do not consider institutions as eligible, even without having substantial, credentials. So I think it's a good institution, and
good first step.
A good first step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Could you tell us a little bit about Pakistan, the government's involvement in the education system?
Governments take care of primary education and secondary education, and they try to provide. It is their responsibility by constitution to provide education to the citizens, but they lack resources, so they have also involved private sector. They have given a space to private sector. About 40% of education in schools and colleges and universities now has been taken up by the private sector. Government is also handing over some of its public institutions to private sector, that you manage it, and they will pay to the private sector per student the fee, in terms of fee, what was their cost when they were managing those institutions, hoping that at least there will be efficiency and there will be movement towards standardization. They will be more updated in terms of curriculum. So government is doing whatever it can. The government of Punjab has really done well. They have offered a scholarship to all the students who need them on merit. They have offered foreign scholarships. They have set up really some leading institutions under the name of Danish schools for the very poor, but providing them the best first-class services, as if you will have in any convent or any top school. So the poorest of the poor getting the top class educational facilities. So these are some of the things. And in higher education, the government is very interested. For public sector, they have open grants for everything that they want to do, that they need to do, infrastructure, operations, faculty training. They spend a lot on them. For private sector, yes, a little bit in terms of some facilities in conferences, and some facilities in research, and some facilities in training, but not much. So government ought to do more. Government of Pakistan is not spending even 2% of GNP on education, which is very bad. It should be spending at least 4%, which is the recommendation by UNESCO. So that is still we are very short. We have a huge youth population, children population, which is 2/3 of our overall population. And unless we do something now in their time span, when they are kid and when they are teen and when they are youth, for their education, basic education, and for their employability, if we are not able to do anything now, then they will pass time, and they will lose the opportunities. So we have to make most of this population, and the only way we are able to ensure is through education. So while I appreciate whatever government is doing, I think they are short by at least 50%.
Right. And how accessible is education in Pakistan in current day?
I think there is an issue of access and equity. Even if there is access available, then it is not affordable. And if there is access available, then it is not up to the mark. So there are issues of access, especially remote areas, rural areas. I don't think there is issue of access in urban areas or semi-urban areas, but remote areas, yes, there is issue of access. We need more schools, and we need more faculty teachers. So if there are schools, then maybe they lack teachers. If there are schools, then they lack facilities. They're just in bare minimum infrastructure, which is not very helpful. So if there is a school, then but it is at a far away, it is at a distance, and not many people would agree to send their daughters at such a far-flung school. So school is available, but it is at such a distance which is discouraging them. So we have issue of access, and I think government should, in this development planning, should take care of it and should do whatever it can to. Now it's time, because Pakistan is one of, I don't want to say it at an international forum, but Pakistan is one of the few countries which were not able to achieve Millennium Development Goals, which is very sad, which Pakistan should have achieved by 2015. And many other countries in South Asia were able to do that. And I know Sri Lanka has very good education system in primary level and secondary level, and Sri Lankan workforce is highly appreciated at international level. I see them in Middle East, I see them even in Europe. So we think that we can learn from Sri Lankan model how to make how to make young people more productive, more employable, and more useful, so that they can lead their life, they can be at peace, they can be happy and prosperous within their own area and contribute to the development.
You mentioned an example of the Danish school. What has become of that? As in, what is the outcome that you are seeing?
People who have been involved in that and who have seen that, I didn't have the chance to go there, but they talk very highly about it. There are exceptionally good campuses. You can envy the facilities, the equipment, the classroom, teachers, infrastructure. Someone who came from United States and visited one school, he was telling me that he thought they are palaces. He thought he's entering into a palace. So they are really well furnished, and the objective is that poorest of the poor should go through this education and should be a cause for mobility of the whole and transformation of people in the whole area. So they pick up people who even don't have enough of clothing, or who don't have shoes in their feet, and don't have shelter. So they pick up those and they put them into a very outclass institution, and it is certainly not free of criticism, because people are saying that what about those hundreds and thousands who are already in government institutions? So instead of giving so much to very few, why not distribute it to and make an effort to increase the standards of all of the institutions? So this is a criticism to which government normally responds by saying that yes, we want to create some islands of standards, and which can make us proud of that yes, we have done something for the poor. But on the other hand, they are also taking care of the lack of infrastructure, facilities, or equipment in the general schools. And but that progress is, I believe, a little slow. I would like to see that more needs to be done, and should have been done by previous governments. There were enough funds. There's never shortage of funds for education. It is just that we lack resolve, and we are not clear about the priority.
All right. At UMT, is research a big component of the education there?
Yeah, it's a very good question. We are in higher education, and if we think of ourselves in higher education, then it is actually research-based, research-driven, and research has to be one key outcome of whatever we do. I would admit that it is not to the extent that we would like it to be, but it is starting. We are certainly, research needs funding, separate funding. When most of the resources that a university generates comes through tuition, it is not possible to allocate adequate funds for research, because tuition allows you to make provide the essentials, the basics. It doesn't even cover the developmental costs. For that, we have to mobilize resources separately. So research needs more funding, but if you can see, our student-teacher ratio is 1:20 almost, and we have so many PhDs, 120 plus. So reason we have those PhDs, and we are continuously inviting more and trying to attract more, is that we want to strengthen our research. So research is something that is on our planning, that is currently the priority, and I hope that institutions have their own phases of development. So the first phase was infrastructure, second phase was formation of programs, disciplines, the third phase was quality, fourth phase is having good faculty and better faculty and competitive faculty, and then the phase comes of collaboration, interaction, and more partnerships. So now it's about research, and I think in about a year there's a good progress in the last 2-3 years. But those who haven't produced any research for the last 3 years, we recently sent them a letter that, look, you have not produced anything in the last 3 years, so should we keep you on, or should we replace you with someone who is more habitual and trained in doing the research? So we are taking steps, and with some efforts, I think we will do better.
In terms of funding for research, is it usually perhaps government or from the corporate sector that you would seek for the funding?
Right now, mainly it is government, but corporate sector is ready to give funding for their projects. So for student projects at the final year, and that areas where we deal with their problems. So if research is about corporate projects and it's problem solving, then yes, there is funding available, and that is we do take advantage of that. But for research, broad-based and discipline-based, theoretical research and thematic research, it is the Higher Education Commission which comes up with the funding. Private sector will not give you enough of the funds in science or in other areas which will help you build your laboratories which you need for research in science. But the government is, is considerate of the need of laboratories, and when they approve a project, it also contains procurement of equipment. So for research, I think it's the government mainly that is still the source of funding.
All right. The graduates that come out of UMT, do they usually head abroad, or do they stay on in the country and engage in the corporate sector?
I must mention here that over the last 15, 16 years, we have also received students from Sri Lanka. And I think about more than half a dozen came to us and have studied with us. And they're back in Sri Lanka and they're serving in various sectors. So we have had very good relationship with Sri Lanka. After 9/11, it had stopped, but we are trying to put it back and hope to have more students from Sri Lanka study with us. Our students mainly, when they graduate, they are divided into 5 categories. Since I know this, the answer to this question, because we have discussed about it, ourselves. So don't think that I thought it just now. So the first is, of course, those who come from business families, especially SMEs. And so they straight away go back to their businesses of their family businesses and their parents and their uncles or whatever. So that's the first category. And we do receive a lot of them because they can afford higher education at private level sector. And their purpose to gain in a specific education in engineering or business is to then get back to their family businesses. And when they come here, it is the investment that is done by their parents. Second category is for those who then go for open recruitments and to national corporations, conglomerates, multinationals, and they are good, they are well prepared, and they make sure that their academics is good, and they are sharp, and they then go for the jobs, and they go into those open management training officers recruitment programs and other areas. The third category is of those who come from abroad. For example, expat Pakistanis in about half a dozen countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Emirates, Muscat, Oman, and other places of the world. Now we are also getting students from Canada, expat Pakistani families in the United States for the professional programs. If they don't get admission there, then they come to Pakistan to study with us, and then they go back to their own places. So this is the third category, expat Pakistanis who come to us and get training, educated here, and then they immediately go back. They retain their visa while they are studying here. The fourth category is of those who want to go to higher education. They are not interested in job, they just want to go to higher education. And the fifth category is of those who are in the open pool, but they're not really ready. They are among the bottom of the graduate class, and they are confused to what to do and what not to do, and they have different ideas, they have different plans, whether they should go for job here or job abroad. And the last category, which is very important to us, consists of those who immediately go for an entrepreneurial career. They have a product in mind, they have a business in mind, and they get the funds, they make the plans, and they develop the project, and as soon as they graduate, they go for their entrepreneurial career. And so this is the sixth category. So we have these six categories.
So the last category that you mentioned, it seemed that many of the people that I've spoken to who come from different universities in the region, they do emphasize about their business schools developing entrepreneurs. And are there any special steps that you all have taken at UMT?
We are very keen on entrepreneurship. We started courses on entrepreneurship from in 1990s. I myself taught a course on new venture creation in mid 90s. So we are very old player in that. And entrepreneurship is about developing a leadership caliber. It's so that the students can take risk, can think out of the box, can critically see the existing products and services, and come up with some innovative and creative ideas as to how to improve upon them. And they should be good in communication, they should be good in team building, and they should be outward looking. They should be very dynamic and active so that they can go through the tests and the challenges that are faced by the entrepreneurs. So we do a lot of things, for example, skills development, courses on entrepreneurship and SME and small business. We take them through special lectures by successful entrepreneurs. We help them develop their own plans. We take them through product development, and there are so many exhibits, there are so many competitions for entrepreneurial ideas. Our students normally go and participate in those competitions, and they come back with prizes and with recognition, which makes us very happy. So entrepreneurship is something which is a holistic development of the personality, way of life, and it's not just one thing that you need to do in one place. There are 10 things that you need to do in 10 places, and not just one time, but throughout their stay. So it helps, and we have our own entrepreneurial club, those who have become entrepreneurs successfully after they graduated. So they are source of inspiration for these, and they get connected with them. And these entrepreneurs then get ideas from them, and they are on their own, but certainly we need to do a lot more.
All right. Having participated in the AMDISA 2016 Regional Conference, where do you see scope for UMT to engage with some of the other universities and bodies that have come here?
AMDISA is about cooperation and participation within South Asia. It is a very useful forum. I attended the first AMDISA meeting in 1996, I think, in Colombo. So I think this is after 21 years that I'm here again for an AMDISA meeting. So I found AMDISA really good because AMDISA helped us interact with institutions in India, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Maldives. So this is a very good forum, and at UMT we are committed for AMDISA. UMT is also the host institution for AMDIP, which is the Pakistani Association of Management Development Institutions in Pakistan. So this is our lifelong commitment, I believe. We will always have that office with us. So we, I think, have a very strong commitment with AMDISA. We think that we are not closer enough. We are not still cooperating with each other, the way we cooperate with institutions in Europe and America. There are some differences, there are some political differences which are not allowing us to really collaborate with each other, but we are managing it. Last 21 years, I have seen it has not been easy, but certainly workable and feasible. And with every year we become more convinced of its importance, and that we must continue with it. And so our enthusiasm and our support to whatever AMDISA does is unwavered, has stood unwavered over the last decades, and that is how it is going to be in future as well.
And especially important because, as you said, there is a window of opportunity here to educate the younger generation that's coming up now, and it's a very important task.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I look forward to making UMT more relevant and more beneficial and more connected with Sri Lanka, since I am here now. And I found goodwill among the people of Sri Lanka, among the government and the higher ups in Sri Lanka. Whoever I have met has been very open, has been very forthcoming and welcoming us. So I've been overwhelmed by that Sri Lankan, positive, attitude towards Pakistan, and I would like to build bridges in the area of education, so that our national linkages are also stronger in future.
What are your thoughts on e-learning in Pakistan?
Yeah, e-learning has taken shape and is now something which is the nightmare of educational institution. That we are running an education institution, and we sometimes we have this nightmare. Oh, if e-learning catches up and everything is through server, where will we be? So, but no, it is not just a nightmare. It is an opportunity, and we are thinking of taking advantage of that. I think all institutions are now in some way utilizing the technology. All of our courses are internet based. We have our own learning management system, LMS. So that we are using, but we haven't got all the lectures video recorded and uploaded. So lectures are live lectures in classroom, but LMS is there to reinforce our teaching. And so this is how we are trying to utilize the e-learning technology, but there are institutions totally based upon e-learning. They don't have any brick and mortar campus, they don't have any address, and they are all IT based. So they are also doing well, and they have a place to they have a segment to address. I personally feel that education will never be free of face-to-face contact, and face-to-face contact and face-to-face teaching will always be regarded as important and as priority, and will always be there. It will become more expensive. The rates of face-to-face based direct teaching and learning will increase more rapidly than, for instance, CPI, Consumer Price Index. It will increase by 2 to 4 to 5 to maybe 10 multiples of CPI, because of the costs associated with it, which will then create more room for e-learning, because that will be not that expensive, right? So a combination of face-to-face and e-learning would be an ideal, and that is what we are planning at UMT. And we hope that humans will always be appreciative and be able to differentiate that face-to-face has more to offer than e-learning.
Right. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us and for joining us on our program.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.